Well, trying to get back on track by doing some videos on the individual cards for those not as familiar with them and their meanings. And today we come to the third of the numbered cards in the Major Arcana, the Empress. And you'll probably notice some similarities in most of the designs presented here. Well, let's start by looking at the number 3 in tarot. Refers to growth. You've heard me in the previous videos refer to potential without growth yet, potential without rapid growth, gestation, etc. Here we find the growth aspect, as we do in the threes generally. By now, there's been a realization of one's potential. There's been the gestation, taking in and assimilating of knowledge, both about the self and one's surroundings, one's internal and external environment, you might say. The Empress, as you'll notice in just about all of these, sits pretty comfortably, kind of lounging, reclined, comfortable. And this seems appropriate. After all, growth and development take energy. Now, in the early descriptions or depictions, namely the first 3 or 4, we see a bird on the shield. We see a bird on her shield in this earliest one, the Tarot de Marseille, and then in some later ones, the Thoth and the Black Flame Tarot, we see the birds. We even see butterflies in the Santa Muerte Tarot. These represent a step in the overall process. Here, we've emerged from the egg. So there has been the fertilization of the egg, the development within the egg, and now the breaking free as a creature capable of realizing its full potential. No more major transformations of one's basic being. Nothing like an embryo going to a bird. We've got the full bird here, so we've got the tools we need solidified. But we still have a long way to go, right? Now we can take flight and start moving around. You can expect to see the Empress when you've begun a new phase, a new work, perhaps, but have much more to do. See it as an indication to consult with the feminine side, which we all have. We all have that masculine and feminine duality right within ourselves. And this may indicate a need to get in touch with that predominantly feminine portion. It may also indicate a need to consult with a close female friend, or it may represent a new female figure in this new phase or this new aspect of your work. So look for the feminine when we see this card. Don't close yourself off to that. It may also indicate a need to destroy something in order to create a path for something new. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean a literal destruction, but a pruning, perhaps. We'll take a look here. Think first of all of the bird that we've been discussing. It had to poke through its shell. It had to destroy its enclosure, right? It had to get through. But if we look at the Santa Muerte Tarot for a moment, what do we see at the feet of the Empress here? Well, we see a log. And a log has already been pretty fully formed. This can indicate the need to cut some things down to use them productively for whatever comes next, whatever phase comes next. Also, like all beings, each card has its negative aspect as well as its positive. We've talked about some of those positive meanings, the motivation that we can feel to get up and go. But on a negative note, it can mean getting comfortable. I mean, she does look fairly comfortable in most of these depictions. She could fall asleep. And then what would she do? So we need to balance the rest period. We can't get too comfortable so that we just stop moving. It can also mean getting cozy with our work. Take a look at our lady here in the Robin Wood Tarot. She may still work very hard, so not so much a caution against the rest period that we may need, but she may just get stagnant in the hard work that she does, not looking forward to new and better things. That can come into play. It can also represent maybe an overbearing feminine presence. Think Norman Bates' mom, like a really bad empress, right? We need to beware of getting imbalanced ourselves. And so while we need to get in touch with that side or with those people, those feminine people that we can learn from, we can't let that take over. We can't go too far in one direction or that throws us off. We have some options. Instead of getting stagnant and sitting still, instead of remaining a two-dimensional bird, as we see on a lot of those shields, we have the option, as we see in the Thoth Tarot in particular, of breaking free and becoming something greater, something more active. We also see that in the Black Flame and in the Santa Muerte Tarot. So just a few basic ideas about the Empress, should you see her, and how she can interact with some of the larger tarot picture by and large. I want to mention something special here too. The Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot, the knowledge that we can take in, or the work that we can do, can come from things we find ourselves afraid of or that we find repulsive, like spiders and flying things, critters, right? Don't let that stop you. Get your hands dirty. Delve into the subject. Delve into the self. That often means getting into uncomfortable realms. Do it anyway. It makes it worthwhile. And make sure to use a little caution. Don't hurt anything. Don't leave that magnifying glass on something too long, or it might just heat it up and cause you some problems. Again, you got to remember some balance in this larger, greater work. And I also want to mention, notice too, on the throne here in the Santa Muerte Tarot, notice anything about that skull carved there? It doesn't look terribly detailed. It doesn't look complete, does it? Just like your self-work, keep going with these things. Don't let yourself get too comfortable or you'll stall yourself. Remain curious. Keep an eye on the progress of your work, but know that you have to continue applying yourself to it so that you can finish it and move on to greater things. And when I say work, of course, again, this refers not to your 9 to 5, but to doing the things that make you you, to exploring the self, to having greater self-awareness, and as such, greater ability to transform. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow us at the social media links posted in the description. Hope you've enjoyed this and that it might shed some light on things. Until next time, keep transforming.